Now we're going to look at rotating both a rectangle and a triangle about an axis and identify the dimensions and what object is created. Remember, if we rotate a triangle, we're always going to end up with a cone, and we want to label the radius and the height. And if we rotate a rectangle, we will always end up with a cylinder, and we want to identify the radius and the height. So before we rotate, we're going to rotate about the x-axis on both of these. Before we rotate, let's count the dimensions of our sides. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going to give a little image of my rectangle off to the side here. I have 7, and then the other side is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The other unit will be 5. 7 and 5. Now since we're rotating about the x-axis, we want to reflect that rectangle across the x-axis. These points here, this point is up at 5, so I'm going to move it down to -5 and draw in my rectangle. The circle will always be connecting the 2 points that we reflected. And since it's a cylinder, we are going to have a circle on both ends. Now looking at the circle we drew, the radius is going to be the left side of that rectangle, which we already determined to be 5. The height is the distance connecting those two circles, and we determined that distance to be 7. So that's our rectangle has become a cylinder with a radius of 5 and a height of 7. Now we're going to take the triangle. Let's count out its dimensions. I've got 1, 2, 3. So I can draw my triangle. I've got 3 on this side, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Don't forget that little piece at the top. 7 on that side. We're reflecting across the x-axis still. So this is down at -7. I'm going to put that point up at +7. Draw in my triangle. Remember, the circle goes through the 2 points that we just reflected. Now the radius, you can see, is the long side of that triangle, which we already counted to be 7. The height is going to be the short side of our rectangle, so the height of that cone becomes 3. So we know that when we rotate the triangle, we end up with a cone. And when we rotate the rectangle, we end up with a cylinder. And that's going to be the case every single time. Let's do one more, but this time we're going to rotate about the y-axis instead of the x-axis. So let's start with our triangle, and let's identify our dimensions. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to draw in my triangle. I've got 4 on this bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 8 along the side. Now we are rotating about the y-axis, so we are reflecting across the y-axis. This point is at -4, so we're going to come over here to +4. We're going to draw in our triangle, and our circle connects the 2 points that we reflected. Based on this, we know rotating a triangle will give us a cone. The radius is going to be the bottom of that triangle, which we already determined to be 4. The height is the long side of that triangle, which we determined to be 8. So the height connects the circle base up to that apex, up to the apex. Now the last one's a little different. We have a semicircle, and we're going to rotate the semicircle about the y-axis. Again, we're still just reflecting. This part right here is out here at about 2.5. So we come to 2.5 on the other side. And I'm going to draw in my semicircle. Now if I rotate that semicircle about that y-axis, I'm going to end up this time with a sphere. Difference here, we don't have a height for the sphere, we only have a radius. So we already said that that point was at 2.5. The radius here is going to be 2.5 units.